distinguished guests. A few questions. How important is health to our children's lives? And specifically, sports. How much do we care? We all talk about health. How much do we care and love and plan for our children's well-being? And finally, what types of activities are there that we can direct our children to keep them away from drugs and keep them away from unhealthy habits and to make sure that they're not overweight? The title of my speech today is Soccer, the Benefits for Our Children. And my objective is to explain to you three areas where I have found, and there's a lot of research, where soccer is benefiting children, organized soccer. And I'm hoping that you can take this and share this with other children and friends, and hopefully we can all glean something from this. We moved away, my family and I moved from Portland, as the Toastmaster was saying, as Perry said. We moved away to Texas a few years ago and have recently moved back. And we found that soccer can benefit children and benefit families and really children in three ways: emotionally, mentally, and physically. And this is lighthearted, and at the same time, I think it's a really, really important, really passionate topic. Because if you look at our children, a lot of our children, unfortunately, we're finding it, the doctors are saying that they're overweight and eating the wrong things. So, first off, let me just talk about the emotional aspect. And my wife got involved with soccer when we moved to Texas, and she became a soccer coach. It's much warmer there. You play sports outdoors a lot more there. And we found, our oldest daughter is 11 years old, and we found that when she got involved that young girls, they're very, very emotional, and they giggle a lot, and they at the same time they cry a lot, and a lot of times if something bothers them, then for the next 2 hours they may be bothered, they may be totally controlled by those emotions. And something that we found was, as my wife began coaching, was that these young girls, they would cry, they'd get kicked in the leg, or they'd get hurt, or somebody would hurt their feelings on the soccer field. And our 10-year-old daughter at the time, Kimberly, she'd start to cry. And typically at home, this was quite an issue because for the next 2 hours, like I said, she'd have a hard time functioning. She would almost be controlled by her emotions. Well, on the soccer field, what my wife found was that as she consoled her, and my wife tried not to be gullible, to give in to every emotion, but as she consoled her and said, "It's going to be okay," and it said, "We need you on the field. We need you in this position." The next thing you know, they have a challenge. They understand their team needs them. They want to be on the field with their with their teammates. And she jumps on the field, and the next thing you know, the crying goes away. The tears go away. She's smiling. She's back out there. She gets knocked down again, and this time maybe she bounces back a little more quickly. So really, we just found that it was a way that the children could learn that, yes, they could cry. It was okay to get their feelings out, of course, if they were hurt, if they fell down, anything like that. And at the same time, they just understood that they had a task at hand. Their team needed them, and they had a game going on. And certainly, if they were behind in the score, it really urged them to get control of their emotions. And that was one area where we saw a lot of benefit. We saw our daughter really grow and really become more assertive. The second area where I think that soccer benefits children, and what we saw and what research is saying, is the mental aspect. And mentally, if you talk about a child who nowadays is playing a lot of video games, all of the children, I was just told recently, well, Dad, all the kids have cell phones. I have to have a cell phone. I have to be able to text. And all the children have that. And you look at children who are on the couch and they're watching, they're just watching the TV 10 hours a week. We've heard Pradeep say that he limits it to an hour. How many parents actually do that? So I thought about that, and here is my daughter. She's now 11, watching TV about 10 hours a week. In Texas, it was even more before we moved here. And she's on the computer, she's texting, she's on the cell phone, and how many hours each week is she actually active? And we took a look at that. And so as she became more involved in soccer, we started to see that actually she lost weight. She really became toned, and she's only 11 years old. She's about to go through a huge change in her body. but she lost weight and seems to feel better. And a lot of the kids that we saw on the field who down there when they compete in soccer, they have soccer fields. You go to a complex down there in the south, and they have a complex of soccer fields so large that from here to that high rise, 2 blocks away, you will have 16 soccer fields all together, and just cars everywhere, and families out and everything. And just physically, the families getting out, the children are getting out. The children are looking like they're losing weight. They look like they're active and doing well from the physical aspect. So the mental and the physical aspect, becoming assertive, the emotional control that we saw her benefit from. It's just such a joy to see the children. You don't have to spend a whole lot for it. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Get out there, get active. Anybody can do it. Even a child who stutters, a child who may not be very fast. And so it was just all around. We've talked today about the emotional benefit, the mental benefit, the physical benefit. Again, it's just these kids get involved with it. And just to conclude, I guess my question would be is if we have something like that kids can get involved with, what are we waiting for? You know, it's something where my wife and I can get out there and be with the kids and meet other families. And so it's something that is really benefiting us. And I know that organized soccer is probably bigger in other places, but there has to be a reason why it's the #1 sport in the world. I mean, I love football. Football is my favorite sport. So I guess the question would be is, what are we waiting for? Thank you for your time.